race fans, welcome to the Race Shop Podcast, issue number 11. We've got a great interview coming your way. David Stukins JR joins us in the Race Shop today to talk about Rhonda, his family in Macon, Illinois, and a little bit about the photography he does around race tracks around this United States, especially here in Oklahoma. Before we get on to that, I want to thank a couple of our sponsors. Jake's Dad Carbs out of Mustang, Oklahoma, Southern Oklahoma Speedway in Ardmore, Oklahoma, the best way to spend Saturday in Southern Oklahoma. So come out. We're going to have the Touring Outlaw Modified Series here July 7th. The big fireworks celebration coming that way. Before we get really into everything, I want to talk a little bit about what went on around the racetrack this week. We had a really big weekend here in Oklahoma in Meeker at the Red Dirt Raceway. I was able to call the Mike Peters Freedom 41 Classic. It was my great honor to honor my favorite driver growing up, my hero growing up, with the Mike Peters Freedom 40 Classic. I was calling the sprint car action there, where I'll go through a little bit of the finishing orders. Tanner Kahn picking up a heat race win with heat race number 1, as well as Josh Toho in heat 2. Heat 3 went to Kevin Ramey. Heat 4 went to Steven Shabester. Great run by Shabester. Then Joe Wood Jr. winning the final heat race number 5. We're going to go through the B feature real quick. Dylan Layden picking up B feature win number 1 with Smith finishing second. So good job by those two drivers making their way into the show. In B feature number 2 was Ty Williams and Robert Vetter picking up the transfer spots into the A feature. And then came the wild 41 lap A feature. Wow. Let's talk about this. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I was looking at the wrong sheets. It was Robert Sellers and Dylan Layden in B feature number 1. Ty Williams and Robert Vetter in B feature number 2. I'm sorry. It's been a long weekend. So we moved on to the A feature, where front row comprised of Lloyd Clevenger and Josh Toho. So they take the green flag to start this amazing event. It's been a great night. We had legends all over the place of Oklahoma racing, Kansas racing, Texas racing, you name it, they were there. But Lloyd Clevenger and Josh Toho start the A feature together on the front row. They get together down the backstretch, and Josh does everything but send that car over. I mean, a really awesome save by Josh Toho in that number 55. Broke a shock in the process, then went on to lead for almost the entire race until right at the end. It became a 3-car battle between Kevin Ramey, Josh Toho, and Shane Sellers. We'll get a little bit onto that here in a second, but Cody Whitworth ended up taking the lead and spinning out, hitting the wall whenever we had a flipper there at the beginning of the race. And then Joe Wood Jr. inherited the lead. And at that point, Joe Wood Jr. Proceeded to get in trouble and be gone. It was a crazy night. It just seemed like anybody who was up front ended up in the pit area. And so Josh Toho inherits the lead, leads for what seemed like an eternity, and Kevin Ramey was coming. You just saw Ramey getting closer, and closer and closer. And there was about 3 laps to go. Ramey got around Toho. Then Sellers was right on their back bumper and made it a 3-wide race for the lead. And Shane Sellers would end up finishing 4th. The big takeaway from this was I saw Tanner Kahn making a very impressive run in that car, making it up to 3rd. But Josh Toho finishing 2nd, Kevin Ramey taking home the big win. So congratulations to Kevin Ramey. We've just announced that in 2019 we will have the Mike Peters Freedom 40 Classic once again at Red Dirt Raceway. Bigger, better, and can't wait. Monstar Productions is going to go ahead and have the Best Appearing Car Award next year. Right now it's set at $200. We'll see what we end up making it to by next year. So without further ado, we're going to take it on to our interview with David Stukins Jr. So here we are live in the Race Shop podcast here, live from the hotel in Ardmore, Oklahoma. I'm sitting here with David Stukins Jr. How you doing, David?
Doing good, John. How are you today?
Doing pretty good. Man, we had a good weekend starting out. We've already been to one race this weekend up at Red Dirt Raceway with the Mike Peters Freedom 41. You were up there shooting up there. How'd you think about that race last night?
That was awesome. Everything about it was awesome. Seeing all the legendary drivers that were out there and learning, me being from Illinois, some of those guys, I didn't know as well. And then I had people there telling me, putting a name to the face and telling me some of the stories about them and just the history that was there lined up in one table was cool enough. But then we had some awesome racing too. And, I posted some pictures about the cushion,
Oh, yeah.
And that was pretty killer last night.
You could see that thing building all night long.
Yeah, you could see that thing from Oklahoma City. So it's not something you see in Oklahoma, though, that often,
Not with our tendency to go dry slick, and it was a great racing surface last night. But now we're getting ready to go work at Southern Oklahoma Speedway. You're the track photographer there each and every week, and of course y'all know that I'm the announcer there. Gonna have David on here and talk a little bit about his family and his racing resume. So go ahead and let the people know who you are and what you do now.
Well, my name is David Stukins Jr. We do have an ongoing joke about how to pronounce my last name. There's a lot of variations of it, but it is David Stukins. I am from Illinois, right in the heart of Illinois. I grew up going to dirt tracks and mainly Macon Speedway and Farmer City Raceway. Farmer City was my Friday night, Macon Speedway was my Saturday night. And started going there when I was real little, but my grandpa was a sprint car racer and a midget racer, and they missed the very first 2 Chili Bowls, but that was back when they ran 2 Chili Bowls a year. It wasn't just a one-time event, and so they missed technically the first year. After that, they had been to every one of them all the way up to last year. So I grew up in a dirt racing family and specifically an open wheel family. But really didn't know anything different from the start than going to the track.
Yeah, you were telling me a little bit about your whole family, your grandpa, your father, your, I believe, uncle too.
It was my grandpa and my uncles, and only one uncle has survived. But my grandpa was Dave Campfield Sr. and Rich Campfield was my uncle. He passed away just a few years ago from cancer, and same thing with my grandpa Dave. He passed away just a little over a year ago, right after the Chili Bowl in 2017. But they were both champions in their own right. When I started doing some family history research and I started looking at this one website, newspapers.com, and started looking through the archives of it, I couldn't believe the stuff that I was finding that my grandpa had won. I'm 150 lap races. Who can pull that off right now, especially on a 5th mile bull ring, it's hearing that and the multiple, and different kinds of cars that he started off in a street stock or a stock car He raced late models. He raced USAC stock cars.
Yeah.
He raced USAC midgets. He was one of the first people to put a wing on their sprint car. He was in the first group of people that did that.
Yeah.
And my uncle, he was I think it was 2005. It might have been 2002, but I think it was 2005 MARA midget champion. And he got to the point where even when he was sick and he wasn't supposed to race, he raced under a different name so that he could get into the race and still, get his laps in. One of the last races that he raced was at Macon against Tony Stewart, and he and Tony Stewart had a heck of a battle. And I can't tell you which one of them finished ahead of the other one, but after the race, Tony Stewart found out that my uncle had cancer and was out there racing him that hard and racing him as well as he was.
Yeah.
And he came over and they just had their own private talk, for a while, and you could tell it was a lot of respect.
Yeah.
And it gave me a lot of respect for Tony Stewart.
A lot of people give
that.
Tony a bad rap, but he's a good dude.
You see stuff like that's behind the scenes, that he doesn't do it for the camera. He doesn't do it for any of that, and that's what I like.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he has been my favorite since I found out who he was. I've been a Tony Stewart fan, but that kind of sealed it off.
So you're a Tony fan. You of course love dirt racing. Do you like asphalt at all? Or
yeah, oh yeah. When I was a kid, NASCAR was king to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was the top level to me. Dirt racing was what I got to go see, but
yeah.
I always wanted to be a NASCAR driver, And so, I got to the point where, if you said a number to me, I associated it with a car, with that. And, we talked about this before with the signatures. I practiced signatures, because I knew I was going to be there, someday.
Yeah.
And so you practice stuff like that, But yeah, definitely. Asphalt, I never was prejudiced against it, racing's racing.
Yeah. Well, we usually a person around, especially around where we're from, Midwest, it's usually a dirt dominated place, and
well, we don't have any asphalt tracks to go to, until they built the NASCAR tracks, that are, it was. I just drove by Texas Winter Speedway yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a 3-hour drive, 3.5 hour drive from where I live to get there. But that's the closest asphalt track that I'm aware of.
It's
area.
the closest. As far as I know, I kind of feel like there was one in Oklahoma at one point, but we don't really have that kind of racing. And of course, in Oklahoma, you grow up a dirt fan if you're a racing fan. Now, unless you just have always just watched NASCAR and never knew anything else existed. But we're blessed to be able to work at a racetrack like we do and be around it all the time. But you've recently started going behind the wheel.
Yes.
In the Hornet division at Red Dirt Raceway. Tell folks a little bit about that.
Well, we're trying to get the Hornet division started. It's a new deal this year. I worked with Cody Brewer on this, and he gave me a lot of help in getting this car going. We got a car together. It's 4-cylinder front-wheel drive cars. We got them out basically and put a roll cage in it and make it look like a race car and go out there and have fun. And the idea is to do it for a very cheap amount, to stay around $1,500 if you can. I'm between $1,500 and $2,000 probably, just because I throw a little extra on it because I want it to look pretty.
Yeah.
But it's the most fun I've ever had in my life. I can't ever see myself getting out of a race car now.
Yeah.
It's only going to be worse. It's screw a drug addiction.
The racing's the
biggest.
biggest.
This is horrible. Yeah. It's like all I think about. It's what I'm thinking about when I go to bed, when I wake up. What can I do? What do I got to do? To make it faster, to make it run right. But for the amount of money that I put into it, and to go out there and do that, it's been a total blast. We just need some more cars out there and some more people, out there to compete in our class. Because I've been having to run with the pure stocks and we run with the mini stocks, and granted, it's so fun going against pure stocks. And they'll race you like they're going to race you. They race you like you're a pure stock, but you're not. You're 4 cylinders and way lighter, and you feel like you could get beat around out there. But man, you get out there and actually race with them, and then you end up beating some of them, and it's like that's even better than almost winning. Beating a bigger, faster car than yours.
Yeah. So you've got the Honda Accord there.
Yeah, Honda Rhonda.
Honda Rhonda.
Honda Rhonda. It's almost become a brand.
I had
I don't know how many people last night at Red Dirt Raceway asked me, where's Rhonda? Where's she parked? Who's watching her? We got all those questions. But I've a good 5 or 6 people before the races even started asking me where she's at, and I just love that. It's
almost to the point where it would make sense just to bring it to the track to sit in the pits.
And I thought about it just to bring it out there to show, put it out there on display for them so people can get the idea too of what we're talking about when we talk about a Hornet, because not everybody knows.
Well, I didn't know up until probably 5-6 years ago what a Hornet was, and that was only because I play a online video game that had Hornets on there, and I was like, okay, so they're like little 4-cylinders. And then there's really not been Hornets around here for a long time. I know somebody here in Ardmore told me that they used to run them here.
Yeah, they called them the Tornadoes. Is what
Tornadoes.
They called them. Yeah, it's like Tornado Division. But back in Illinois, they'd started this class. Probably 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
It was when the bomber class was dying. When you couldn't go and get a rear-wheel drive car at a junkyard. We were starting to get to where you only could get front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So they went to this and made the bomber class kind of the street stock class. And it really took off. There was to a point where they have a pro division and an amateur division, and they have 3 or 4 heats for each class. They're filled up, and there's people each year building, and they're building these cars too, though.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are tearing the cars down all the way to the frame, putting the roll cage on, and putting the aluminum body, and like they're making race cars here. But we're going to try to stay away from that happening.
Yeah.
We want to keep it an entry-level class and all that, and keep it affordable for people.
Yeah.
But it's definitely shown that it can take off, and I've seen it before, and it really is exciting. Especially if you know somebody in the race, they beat and bang the doors, and they don't care. It's a lot of fun racing.
I mean, I've come to Meeker just to see you run that car. Like, we came for that first USAC event that they had there, the Oklahoma USAC wingless cars, and I was more excited to see Rhonda racing than I was the USAC
now,
sprints.
If I remember right, that was back when I had the smoke screen still, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
We fixed that now, though.
Yeah.
But it was playing to my advantage to some extent.
Yeah, you were kind of blinding a few people out there.
We hug the bottom and blind them, make it to where they can't get past us.
But so the you've got Honda Rhonda, and right now the duct tape is on the side of it. It looks like a race car. Like it looks like somebody that put everything into the car and doesn't care what it looked like at the end. But it is a sweet looking ride. I mean, not something that you usually see at a racetrack, and I think that's what the appeal has been so far.
Well, the cool thing was we worked with Blake Thomas at Ibex Motorsports, and Blake is the one who built the cage and put the rear spoiler on there for us, and a little bit of the skirting just to make it look pretty. But the idea of it, we joked about it at first. We wondered how Cody would take it. And I kind of broke it to Cody, hey, don't be surprised if you see a spoiler on this when I bring it to you, when this is done.
Yeah.
But just trust me on it. And so I gave that to Blake. I said, I think he's good, man. He's all for it, And so he comes back with it, and it was the perfect mix of a sport mod and Ricer looking wing.
Of course.
It's perfect for Honda.
I mean, it is a Honda.
But to me, that extra little flair of that or whatever makes it look
Yeah.
cool. I mean, it makes it look like, man, I want to build one of those, and I can do something like that, or or I can make mine look cool like that.
It doesn't. It makes it not look just like a regular 4-cylinder Holland or 4-door Honda.
And it doesn't affect it. I mean, like I'm going 65 max in the turns. It's not affecting anything, and if it is, I wouldn't notice it anyway. So I think that the overall appeal of it is what's working for it, and why I've been down here at Ardmore, and I've had kids come up to me and ask me why I don't have Rhonda here.
I've been thinking the same thing.
And I mean, eventually it's going to happen because we've got this 2-month break now, and that's kind of what we're working on. We've got the duct tape on the outside and all that, but we're going to start making it pretty.
Oh yeah.
I've been working with you here, and you've given me some awesome feedback and ideas here, and
man,
we're going to come away with a good looking Rhonda, because we're going to try to get her up to Macon Speedway.
Yeah.
For the family memorial race. It's the Canfield Memorial. I think it's August 16th, if I'm not mistaken. But it's in Macon, Illinois. and it's in honor of my grandpa and my uncle, and it's actually a Power Eye midget race, which is what they raced.
Yeah.
But they have Hornets on the card, so how can I not try to get Rhonda up there? After all, Rhonda she's named after my grandma Rhonda, who was Dave's wife.
Yeah.
And she was a Canfield as well, and she was called Honda Rhonda because she was the first woman in our county, at least, and not the state of Illinois, to have a motorcycle license. She was one of the very first ones, and they did an article about her in the newspapers back in the 70s, and it was more about that she ran this parts shop, and we had a motorcycle shop there, and she ran it all herself.
Yeah. And
they couldn't believe that a woman could do it, number one, but that a woman could do it like she did, where it was that take no crap attitude, and that she would, like, if some guy tried to screw her over on anything, she didn't take it, and they mentioned it in the newspaper article that she's not one to be messed with when it comes to that. But she actually, they called her Honda Rhonda, but she rode Triumphs. And
of course.
Yeah, it was always something different.
It was a rhyming deal.
Of course, but hey, it clicked, and now here we are in 2018, where I've got a car named Honda Rhonda. It's still sticking around,
Yeah, and it, of course, and it's to honor her and your family as well. I mean, like I said, you're doing something with this class and this car that is going to kind of change this state with the way we can have a race car now. Like, I know that there's talks about other guys building their own Hornet and building the class up, and I know Cody Brewer at Red Dirt Raceway bought a couple 4-cylinders to sell off. I think there were a couple Toyota Camrys.
Yeah, he sold one.
And
Jim Cole got that one, and he actually had it out there to race one of the last races, but unfortunately it blew up in his first race there.
Man.
So he's actually told me last night that he's got an engine already, and they will 100% be there when the season starts back up in August, or at the end of August. I think it's September actually is the beginning of it.
So what does a motor for one of those kind of run?
Well, it depends on what the junkyard's asking for it, really, because that's basically what you need to do. Because in our case, we were able to build the whole car for about $1,500.
Yeah.
So you can bet your butt I'm not spending $1,500 on a motor on it.
No.
And so
you might as well scrap and start from new.
I think he said he found one for $500-$600, and that's basically what I would expect to spend on one. But I mean, think about that though. We go to these races with the modifieds, even sport mod or an eco mod.
Yeah.
Where they're a $10,000 to $15,000 engine probably on the cheap side maybe.
Oh yeah.
And here we are talking about a $600 engine, because we blew ours up like boo-boo. It's the greatest thing about it. For me, I guess because I haven't raced something faster also, that it hasn't tainted me to where I think it's too slow or something like that, but I still have the excitement and I still have the thrill of it, and the hope is that it does, like you said, it's a state-changing thing where in our area, especially in central Oklahoma where we're at and where that track's at, it hopefully will get, it really has garnered a lot of attention, but hopefully it'll get people to where they want to come out to the track to race.
Mm-hmm.
And they know they can do it for a really affordable price.
And even maybe expanding to other tracks where they start implementing, maybe like at Lawton or
like
even
a Friday,
here.
Saturday deal, where we can run. And that's what made, back home in Illinois, that's what made the racing there so successful. I mean, Macon Speedway's been going since the 1940s.
Yeah.
Farmer City has been pretty long in itself. I'm not sure exactly the years, but they worked together. They was the same class, the same rules. And so everybody ran Friday night there. Saturday night they come to Macon.
Yeah.
And it worked. That's why still to this day Illinois is a strong racing community. And down here is too. It took some hits, with the State Fair Speedway closing and all that. But the work that's being done, I mean, this track down here that we work for at Southern Oklahoma Speedway is by far, you can't compare it. It's so wide and it's so, the track conditions are so good. The way that they treat everybody,
the facility.
It's all top notch. Everything is.
And I always guide a great racetrack by the racing, the concession stand,
cheeseburgers,
and how clean the bathrooms are.
Yeah.
And I've never once had to worry about going to the restroom here at SOS.
This is a great track here, and the same thing with Red Dirt Raceway. Last night I went to the pit bathrooms, and I didn't actually want to get out of there because for one, they were air conditioned. And so I've kind of just, I felt weird just kind of the first time I went to the races, I want to hang out in the bathroom, but but we have a couple of good tracks around here. Well, we have a lot of good tracks around here.
Oh yeah.
And really, like I said, we took that hit, but with what is going on down here, when we had the Street Outlaws on, that was a big thing for exposure for this track. People from all over the world got to see this track and dirt racing in general. No matter what anybody has to say about how it was done or what was said in the show, I think it was the greatest thing that you can do to get your to get dirt racing in general out there to another group of people that like racing.
All press is good press, and it really brought it. I've gotten messages and stuff about this place simply because of that episode, and I mean,
I did too.
It's got a huge following here in Oklahoma, of course, but also all around the country. But I mean, you talk about Oklahoma taking a hit. It did in 2008. I mean, that's when they tore it down, and before then it was such a strong sprint car state.
Yeah,
you had like Mike Peters, you had Shane Carson, Danny Wood. I mean, all these guys that went on to great careers in the Outlaws, and it was sad because all of a sudden it was, well, you got to drive 2 hours to Lawton to go race, and now you got to drive to Enid to go race, or to Tulsa, and it became such a big micro track or micro state after that. I mean, really around the time the fairgrounds closed down is when the micro boom really just took off in Oklahoma. And you have I-44 in Port City, and at the time you had Will Rogers Raceway, and Fort Cobb, which was my favorite place to race. I used to race the micros, and Fort Cobb was this little tiny, almost 8th mile flat track that, I mean, it was so much fun to go down there and race. And you had this competitive deal where I-44 ran Saturday nights, so Fort Cobb ran Friday nights, and Port City ran Saturday, so Will Rogers across Tulsa would run on Friday, and it really helped that whole class boom, and it's produced some of the greatest drivers in the country.
If you look at what it's done, at least, with the drivers that we have now, I mean, Christopher Bell is, I mean, the sky's the limit for him.
But
everything I've seen him race, it's amazing, but there's so much more than him.
Well, I mean, around that time,
Brady Bacon.
Is when Brady Bacon took off.
Yeah.
And, he went and ran for Casey Kane for a few years, and now he's making a career as a owner driver.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just putting it to the USAC guys, but like, it's starting to come back around here, and that's what I'm really loving about being back into the racing community. I kind of gotten out after I had quit racing, and it's starting to gain some steam especially with the 305 series that is running around here. It's getting big car counts, but
well, see, like when I moved down here, I didn't go to the racing or any races for the first year I was here, and I didn't know this State Fair Speedway had closed. I moved down here in 2014, so I didn't know that it was gone. I was anticipating, like, that's where I'm going to go watch a race.
Yeah.
And so I came down here, and like I told you, within 9 days of me coming down here, my dad passes away.
Yeah.
19 days after that, Rhonda, the namesake of my grandma Rhonda, she passes away.
Yeah.
And so I got in this kind of funk, where I need to get something to do to get out of the house. What can I do? So I looked for dirt tracks, and then I looked for a camera. I mean, I knew I wanted to go take pictures. They were two separate things. I just knew I wanted to go to watch racing, and I knew I wanted to take some pictures, and maybe that would get me out of the house. So I bought the camera and made a trip back home to Illinois, and my brother-in-law was working for Macon Speedway, and I said, man, it'd be a perfect opportunity. You can get me in there to take some pictures. I never got to take them. I just got this camera and want to try it out.
Yeah.
And it was a Power I race. And it was actually the first race there after Brian Clausen had passed away, so everybody had these green streamers on their cars. That was for him. And I was just kind of blown away that, like, here I am standing. I've watched races at Macon all my life and never got to go on the track, never got to be in the infield. And, like, here I am in the infield, at Macon Speedway. It's like, oh, this is great. The first couple pictures I got, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I got Holly Shelton took off flipping and right in front of me, and I caught every frame of that I could catch. Had a guy on fire right in front of me. There was, cars 3 wide, on a 5th mile track, just, wheelies and all that. And I was getting these shots, and I'm like, dude, if I could do this the rest of my life, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so when I came back home from that trip, I found all the tracks that I could find. I got a list and started calling around to see what I could do, and I got a hold of Red Dirt Raceway and said, "You guys have a track photographer?" Because they were just getting ready to open, and they said, "No, we don't. We're not going to have a track photographer, but you can come out here and take pictures, and all that."
Yeah.
And thank God they did, man, because I found something that a talent that I didn't know I had, and a passion that I didn't realize I had. I had a passion for racing. I love doing art and all that, but when they actually mixed up and I seen the fruition of it, it was what saved me from being depressed, basically,
Oh, yeah.
And so now I'm so into the racing world that I almost feel like I owe it something, so I do these pictures now and try to put out the best I can put out, but it's like I feel like I owe the racing world something for saving me a little bit,
Oh yeah, and like you said, this is a drug.
It is bad.
And that's how I always explained it to everyone, is when you get the people that didn't understand my passion for racing, I would go, this is literally a drug, and it's the biggest high you'll ever get in your life. And when that's gone, when racing is gone, you're searching for something to go fill that, and there's not.
Yeah.
And I mean, the biggest rush I ever got was the first time I went behind the wheel of that micro. And I was not even going up to full speed, but I'm in a race car, I'm on a track, and I'm making laps.
Yep.
And
the adrenaline rush that you get from that it's hard to match it. I mean, I don't know
yeah.
what else. I mean, I was a volunteer firefighter for a time, and going into a burning building is pretty close. I'll say that. But really, I'll say driving the fire truck to the scene was pretty close. I mean, that was more intense than anything.
Yeah.
But it's the same feel. It's an adrenaline rush, that you can't beat. And anybody that can get out there, I suggest do it. Just don't tell your wife.
Yeah.
When you do it, go ahead and just do it first.
But and that's what the Hornet division is going to end up doing, is you're going to have all these guys that thought, I can't afford to go racing, and now they're going to be able to go out there, build a race car, and not with pocket change, but a very small budget can get them at the racetrack.
Yep.
And I mean, you're running DOT tires on them. You're doing
everything that you get or that you need, you can get at a junkyard.
Yeah.
And if you're smart and find a car that is, around everywhere, which I have a Honda Accord. There's 1,000 millions of Honda Accords sitting around. It makes it a lot easier for you.
Well, and I mean, what I was going to get at with it is you're building these race cars that are literally going back to the very beginning of racing.
Yes.
Whenever it was, they would go to the dealership, buy a car, and put a number on it, and go to the track.
My grandpa grabbed a brand new Camaro and brought it home when they were driving a VW Bug that was beat up.
Yeah.
Brings it home, starts gutting it, taking all the windows but the front and the back one out.
Yeah.
And then welds it all up, puts a number on it, and it was his first wife at the time then. She was super pissed off because she had to sit here and drive this VW Bug.
And they just bought a brand new Camaro.
He goes out to Champaign County Speedway in Illinois, and running third place. First car wrecks, second car breaks, and there he goes, and he won the race in this car that he just bought, and it was a USAC stock car race. And the one race he raced it, I don't know what he did after he sold to somebody else after that, but that was it. Yeah. And I mean, that's stock cars. That's stock car racing, and that's exactly what this is getting back to, like you said, the bare bones of it, that you have a stock car.
You're doing Junior Johnson racing right here. Like
we're putting hooch in the trunk, and I could. Man, my trunk still is operational, and if we need to put hooch in it, just somebody give me a holler, and I'll be your runner. But
well, so that's why I wanted to bring you on here. Is I wanted to talk about your photography, of course, and which is a huge part of your life, and how a lot of people knew you from the start, but. That Hornet division is going to be something special, and I know y'all are still building. You only have a few cars out there, but it's gonna explode, and I feel next year you're going to get up closer to 10, maybe even 15 cars.
Completely agree.
And it's gonna be one of the premier classes in the state, because you're going to have so much variety on what you can do with the race car.
And so much accessibility.
Yeah.
Everybody can go to a junkyard and find. In our case, we got this car for $300. Honda Rhonda cost $300, and then it was the roll cage and everything else I added onto it that made it to about the 15. And and I wanted to be safe and replace a couple of parts that I thought would probably fail first. So I did that. But it's so accessible to everybody that I really hope that is the case. And I mean, I'm excited as hell to be a part of it and to be, And I'm going to say this for Jim Collett, who has one in Jerry Cantrell, who's building one. He'll have his out there. I'm going to be the champion this year, okay? And so it's pretty exciting to the idea that I could be the first champion for this series that I feel like is going to grow into something pretty big. And, hopefully we can have, it's crazy to think about this and kind of laughable at the same time, but to have a big Hornet race, a $2,000 to win Hornet race, and it's totally doable if we did it.
Gosh, you won that car, you could just go build you a new car and be ready to go next week.
And so you go balls out and leave it all on the track, and then if you do things right, come away with that $2,000, and if not, then you go back and go beat your fenders out and and try to straighten her back out and come out there and do it again.
Well, like I said, it's pure racing. It's what it was built to be back in the 40s and even before then, whenever they were just running through the mountain roads. But it's getting you back to that, and that was another reason I wanted you to be on here. Is we're trying to find you sponsors for Macon, and so if you do want to sponsor David in his quest to go back to his home track and go race in his family's race, give us a call. You can contact me at Monstar Productions. You can contact him on David Stukins Stukins Photography.
You did it again.
I did it again, and I've been good on it.
It's a habit, man. If you get it right, I'm more worried than anything.
Yeah.
I wonder, how in the hell do you know me if you got my name right?
Yeah.
And also, the worst case that's ever, the worst one ever, I was in high school football being introduced at a different field, the visitors field. And they wrote out our roster, and so there's somebody's handwriting. So so you have to imagine that when you hear this. But they announced me as David Shitkins. And if you want to talk about, for one, my team giving me crap, but then my coach, and then we're sitting there getting jacked up, pumped up, ready to fight, and then you hear that, and that just takes all the life out of it. I took a lot of crap, but I laughed about it a lot too.
That reminds me, my mother was a basketball player in high school, and her maiden name was Teddy. And they went down to Chickasha for a tournament. I want to say it was Chickasha. And the announcer goes, and at forward, it's Teresa Titty. And
so I don't feel so alone.
Yeah.
There we go.
So, that happens. Mine's pretty easy to pronounce. It's Keel, Keel, but...
Yeah, and if anybody is wanting to sponsor me, though, you can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm on there on my personal account, is David Stukins JR, or... my photography page is at Stukins Photography.
Stukins.
That's right, Stukins.
There's no D in there.
Yeah, well, as much of a stud as I am, I do get Stukins a lot. And as much as people would argue with that, but I do get that a lot. But it is Stukins. And like I said, we're looking for sponsors. Anything will help. But the whole thing is, I have a trailer right now that was offered to me by Dylan Layden. Yeah. And so he's going to allow me to use his trailer to take up to Illinois. So now I need a truck.
Yeah.
Because what I used to pull Rhonda from Edmond to Meeker, Oklahoma, is not
going to make it
to Illinois. Yeah, with the ups and downs of I-44 and all that. And it's a 10.5-hour drive when it's just the car, and when it's just my car, let alone pulling Rhonda. So I need something to pull it there. But then other than that, we're kind of ready to go. Entry fees and all that stuff. We can take care of that kind of stuff. We just really need help with the truck right now. And I'm repairing a little damage that was done in the last pure stock race where I gave a little damage and I took a little damage. But we're getting it cleaned up and everything. We're going to try to have it a nice, presentable looking car. And with you. Coming through with the decals and all that, it's going to look so awesome. That the Rhonda, or what was it, the Rhonda Mafia decal.
Yeah, the Rhonda Mafia,
man. And that's one thing we thought about doing too is getting some decals made and possibly selling those to help fundraise it. But we only have so much time to do this, so if we can get to that, it'd be awesome. But if not, just hit us up and we will definitely get your name or your business name on the car. and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be up in Macon, Illinois, so have some exposure up that way if you want it.
Even if you're just a fan that's wanting to.
Yeah, we'll put a fan thing on it.
We'll put like Jake Keel on the side of it if we had to. So I mean, you'll be directly involved with getting David to this big race that, I mean, it's literally your dream.
Oh, yeah.
To go run at this track that your whole family's ran at, you grew up at, and it's your first opportunity to do it, and hopefully it's not your last, but
I mean, we've been racing that track since the 50s, late 50s, and this will be my first time to actually be a part of that, and how can I pass it up? If I've got a Hornet, they're racing Hornets, and it's my family race, I just can't miss it,
Yeah.
But I appreciate all the help that I've gotten from everybody so far. Everybody's been really supportive with this, and as soon as I say it to somebody, they're like, dude, you got to go there, you got to be there. And it's like, I know, man. I mean, I feel the same way, but we just, I think everybody that stepped up and helping out right now, they all realize that it's that same dream that they have. They can see it in me, that it's that passion that they understand. They've been there. They wanted to race too. Here they are in a sprint car. And they kind of realize how lucky they are in the spot they are to be, to have a sprint car or a modified in the enclosed trailer, and sponsors and all that. To see somebody that's just, I'm bare minimum of everything, hand-me-down suit, and I got a brand new helmet now. I do got that,
Gonna show up in probably like a U-Haul truck.
I'm U-Haul trailer every week. U-Haul should sponsor me.
Yeah.
I pay them every week, but it's been cheaper than buying the trailer so far, and I don't have it all to buy, go out and buy a trailer, so we do what we got to do, but it's by any means possible to get to the track,
Yeah.
We take the open trailer thing to a whole new level, because usually Rhonda's being pulled with the dolly.
Yeah.
And so, open trailers ain't got nothing on us, man. We're old school as old school can be.
Yeah. You're almost as old school as just driving the car to the track.
That's right.
But man, there's one more question I wanted to ask you before you got out, and it's kind of a two-part question, but number one, what is the coolest event that photography's brought you to?
Chili Bowl.
Chili Bowl?
By far. Chili Bowl is, the third race I ever took pictures of was the Chili Bowl in 2017.
Wow.
And, you want to talk about, like, the first time being in the middle of Macon Speedway, being all struck and all that.
Yeah.
Dude, when you're at the Chili Bowl and then you're shooting through your lens and you feel somebody bump your shoulder and you look next to you and it's your Tony Stewart, it's your idol.
Yeah.
It's like, you gotta be cool. You know what I mean?
You gotta stay cool.
You gotta stay cool, and you gotta stay awake and alert, because you're about ready to pass out because you're not breathing or whatever. It's like, man, you can't believe that you're here in this situation. And that turned out to be the last time I saw my grandpa was at that Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
And the week we had talking and, all that.
Yeah. You wouldn't trade it for the world.
No.
Second was, is there a picture out there that you've taken that you think is the best you've ever taken?
No. There really isn't.
Or even your favorite?
My favorite, like the things that really got me took off, or got me taken off, and people like knowing me or asking like who I am. I took some pictures at Red Deer Raceway of some cars just pulling onto the track, and it's just dust was everywhere, but the sunset was coming in. It's just orange glow.
Yeah.
I got Chase Vineyard and Jeff Roselle, and then I got a couple of sprint cars in there. And one of them is Dane Fields. He has David B. Stukins Photography on the side of his car, which is the coolest thing to me, to have my name on a race car. That's not me driving. That's pretty awesome. But I took a couple shots of those, and that glow from that, and all. That really kind of let me know I was doing something right. I was different and doing something right. Like I was on the right path. And so I'd say that would probably be it. But honestly, if somebody asked me like, hey, could you send me like a couple of your best ones? Like I'll send you like 500 pictures, because I can't really pick between them. I have different kinds that are best. I'll have best rec pictures, and
this is the best single car shot. This is the best
really,
100 single car shots I've done.
To generalize it though, like the best pictures in general are the pictures that are not of the cars on the track.
Yeah.
It's the people behind the scenes. It's the families. It's the kids.
It's the real life.
The real life stuff. It's the people that Monday through Friday are busting their ass to get you to that track, or to get money to come watch you at that track to support you and promote you or whatever, just to be there for you. All those people. That's the pictures I love. I mean, some of my favorites, like two little boys I got at I-44 leaning over the rail and pointing, at something. It's like, that's the stuff that gets me.
My favorite I've seen from yesterday was the one of the little boy at the autograph table, and
little boy in the glasses.
Like, you can tell, like, he is locked on, and
his eyes are lit up, and he's taking in the story that he's being told.
Yeah.
And that's the best part. I
yeah.
mean, it's one thing, you tell a kid a story, and they're like, yeah, real cool, Grandpa, or whatever.
Yeah.
But these kids were like so into it. That's why I had to take those pictures. It's like that's exactly what I was looking for when I was over there taking those pictures, was to see those kids be like that, and it didn't disappoint, man. That's the best stuff. And just those pictures, just like that. That's it. So if I generalize it again, it's the
raw moment.
It's all that. Yeah, it's the people that make it possible.
Man, that's real cool, man. But man, I think that's going to be it for today. It's be coming out about July 4th, so we'll.
You ready to celebrate?
This will be the big celebration episode.
That's
and
right.
our
fireworks tonight, by the way.
There's going to be some fireworks tonight. We're going to have a bigger race next week. It's going to have a huge fireworks show after it. So.
And then I might be dressed up like Will Ferrell, like he does for 4th of July.
Oh, I've already got plans.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wear a Speedo and I'll do all that. I mean, so come out here if you want to see me in a Speedo. We're
taking pictures of race cars.
Speedos and race cars, because America. That's why.
All right, guys. Well, that'll be it for today. We'll be back probably next week. And thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me.
What a great interview with David Stukins Jr. I am so glad to have had him in the race shop with us this week. Coming this week, once again, at Southern Oklahoma Speedway, we're going to have the Touring Outlaw Modified Series. I'm dubbing this the Firecracker Nationals here, the Ardmore Firecracker Nationals. So come out to Ardmore, Oklahoma, Saturday night, July 7th, 2018. Fireworks will be on the track and off the track, as the best in the region in the Touring Outlaw Modified Series will be there doing battle, take home some big money. So we'll see you Saturday at Southern Oklahoma Speedway in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Until then, we'll see you next time, guys. Have a great week.